Hey guys, welcome. My name is Anton Krasun. I'm working at Twitter EMEA headquarters, covering sales across a broad region. Today I will talk about what's happening at Twitter, what has evolved on the platform in 2021, and basically give you some tips and advice how to leverage Twitter as a platform effectively to build your launch and connect campaigns, and basically deep dive into like why this is important, and give you some audience perspectives and maybe some tips how to be successful on Twitter. So first of all, what is Twitter? So Twitter is really what's happening in the world. So like number one reason you see users switching on into Twitter is because they want to see what's happening around their interests, around their passions, and around like some big cultural moments. So Twitter is basically the answer to the question, what's happening right now. Twitter users, they're basically driving those conversations, and they're shaping the culture. So audiences is like a very, very key point of the platform, and the type of users you find on Twitter is very hard to find them elsewhere in a different mood, in a different perception. And this boils down to those 3 points, right? So this boils down to real time, making sure that we kind of like deliver the information instantly, to receptivity, how receptive those users are, and the conversation, right? So like being engaged, ready to learn more, etc. We've made multiple improvements in the last couple of years around 3 areas that are like very critical to us. Number one is health, right? So we want to make sure that we are shaping those healthy conversation on Twitter. And we've launched multiple things like the conversational controls on Twitter, where you can kind of like decide who joins the conversation, but also like doing lots of work around the elections in the US last year as well. So making sure that we kind of like, shape those healthy conversations on the platform. Number two is interest, right? So like we want to make it easy for the users to find something they're passionate about. And we launched the things called interest on Twitter, where you can easily tap into things that you're like concerned about, or like whatever your passion is about. And then we will tailor the relevant content to you in real time, as I mentioned before. Third point is basically conversations, right? So we want to make it easy for the users to interact and to talk to each other. And we launched some innovative ways how users can interact with each other as well, by launching things like fleets, voice tweets as well, and the thing that is like, very trendy and working really well on Twitter, called Spaces as well. So we are very excited kind of like to share those news, and feel free to search a bit more, how to leverage those formats, and how to use them on Twitter as well. So like you can see some short video spaces here as well. Cool. Talk about more about the audience, right? So people are coming to Twitter and they are staying, right? So like we're seeing like unprecedented growth over the last 2 years. Like we've basically increased our audience by 51%. And what is more important, we see that because of those improvements that I mentioned previously, right? We are seeing that the users, they're staying on the platform more and more. So this is not just like the amount of users that we have, but also we see that they find the content more engaging. They're consuming more content on Twitter because they find it like more beneficial. And all of this creates kind of like this valuable infrastructure around us, where you as partners, right, as publishers, as advertisers, marketeers, you can reach those most valuable, those most engaged audiences on Twitter, right? Because Twitter allows you to do like being relevant, right? So like you can be relevant to what's happening. Second, like you can break through the audience, and breaking through is very, very important point. And we're gonna talk about this a bit more in a couple of minutes. And thirdly is you're able to drive results for your business, because this is not just about conversations and about talking to the audience, but this is more about how to drive those ROI-driven outcomes for your business as well. So that's have never been more important, because like our world is moving at the breakneck speed, right? So those most valuable brands, they turn to Twitter because we are #1 platform to keep up, right? And we're gonna talk about those two type of campaigns, where we are very successful and where we have shown lots of results as they launch type of campaigns and connect type of campaigns, right? So we're gonna deep dive a bit more how to launch something effectively on Twitter and how to connect to those cultural moments on Twitter as well. So whenever you're launching, a new brand, new product, new message, new feature, or promotion, so Twitter is basically the place to start. You know why? Because like 85% of those brands, they fail to meet their launch KPIs, right? So we see lots of launches, but only 50% of those launches are successful, right? And Twitter leads other platforms in terms of like driving those launch news coverage worldwide. So Twitter is actually the place of what's happening. And this is very relevant for those launches as well, those product launches, those services launches, etc. Like we see that our users, they spend more time on launch ads, much more than on other platforms as well. More important, like 91% of the people on Twitter, they say they want to see new launches from the brands because they want to keep up with those conversations. They want to see and they want to be those trendsetters. They want to understand kind of like, what's trending, like, when I should buy this new feature, this new phone, etc. So we can see that like the Twitter users, they're really ready to try those new things, and this is very critical as well because like when you want to get those mass awareness, you want to reach those incremental audiences, you need to be sure that you select those launch platforms and basically how to leverage them, right? So successful brands they do launch on Twitter because there are campaigns that can break through this clutter of noise and they can spread the news much faster. So when you launch, something on Twitter, like we can see that it's very much result driven. So we can see like improvement in all the metrics, like ad recall, brand awareness, message association, purchase intent, etc. And there are like a couple of formats that can help you reach those objectives. So this one is very interesting. It's called the timeline takeover. So it allows you basically to reach every single user we have on Twitter on a given day. So it gives you kind of like this unprecedented reach on Twitter. We've made multiple improvements here as well to deliver you more scale and impact on this given format. So whenever like you want to be visible, every user that opens their Twitter timeline, the first impression, the first ad they see, the first tweet they see, we basically the tweet from your from your handle. So it puts your content first at the top of the timeline, and it ensures you that you're the top of mind of those users as well. But this is not just the timeline takeover, right? So we delivered the format that is called the trend takeover as well, which gives you kind of like those unprecedented reach in the discover tab as well, and it helps you to be in front of the conversation where the users are jumping to in order to see what's happening, right? So you can see here the example of Mandalorian as well. So overall, like if you're looking at the global scale, so we can deliver you like 120 mil plus video impressions for over 24 hours, and you combine it with this high reach, high impact launch plan, and it's producing you kind of like this excellent strategy for your delivery. And we can see like the brands are leveraging those two formats across multiple industries. You're talking about gaming, you're talking about consumer services, you're talking about tech, luxury, etc. So there are like multiple ways how to design this, and we can help you with this. So like those two takeovers, they're basically capitalizing on Twitter growth. So we're seeing like 70% impression growth because like we have more users and they're spending much more time on Twitter, and we are delivering those brand recall results you're looking for, right? So to help you basically achieve those results and be in this top 15% of successful brands. Next one, right? So let's move on in terms of like connecting, right? So connect, this is very, very critical as well. And Twitter is basically the best place to connect with those culturally relevant moments. Why culturally relevant is important, right? You might ask, because we can see that the cultural relevance is basically shaping the purchase intent. So those brands that are culturally relevant, we can see that they are more purchasable. We can see that the users engaging more with those type of brands as well. So Twitter is basically the place where those brands are building this cultural relevance. And we can see basically like this big correlation, as I mentioned to you, between this purchase intent and the cultural relevance. And the type of kind of like, connect campaigns you might be looking for is very different. It's very broad, right? So this is not just like, some sort of like a broad interest, whatever. This is the type of events you might be looking for. This is type of occasions like the Halloween, or the type of trends, etc., like wellness, visual arts, etc. We can also see that during those live events, people are spending more time on Twitter than on other platforms, because we can see that, like Twitter is the best place to see what's happening. So it basically helps you get this mass awareness around a particular event. And like in the recent, study on the major live events, where they basically reveal that people are spending on average like 22% more time versus other competitors, that are basically not that relevant during those particular moments. Also, we can see that those type of connect campaigns on Twitter, they actually break through, right? Which helps you achieve those ROI objectives you might be looking for as well. So overall, like we can see that they flock to Twitter around those key moments. So you want to connect to what's happening. You want to tap into events like Oscars or Summer Olympics or the upcoming Euro 2021. So Twitter is basically the answer to those objectives. And there are like, multiple ways how you can tap into those type of connect opportunities as well. Like one of the recent formats that we released is the type of created categories, where we can connect you with some exclusive premium video publisher content as well. And this is kind of like a nice dynamic way to match the advertiser message with the premium video content, right? So it helps you connect with those more niche, engaged audiences who care about a particular industry, particular type of connect opportunities. So when you look at the type of categories, so it can run across broad interests like football, like science, sports, television, etc. Right? So we basically tailor your message with this premium publisher content. And I have like a quick case study here from Honda, where basically they wanted to leverage like the new segments of young car buyers, and basically they turned themselves into Twitter to do this, right? So like that auto is like a very crowded auto industry, right? So like how can a Honda reach a younger, like digital first community? And basically the Twitter, the Twitter audience is very young, is passionate and engaged. So they wanted to leverage the gaming audience on Twitter. And Twitter actually has more gamers than Twitch, like 12 times more gamers than Twitch. And the solution for this type of campaign was like a custom sponsorship, where we wanted to delight and surprise the gamers during those tentpole moments throughout the League of Legends, the Championship Series. And we've delivered the type of amplified sponsorship campaigns. We bundled this together with the branded emoji and branded miters, and promoted video as well. And the results were that Twitter, they actually drove lots of those brand metrics around those engagers, and we were able to activate the segment of audience that Honda cared about. So this was like quickly about those connect campaigns, why they are important and why they are like super crucial when it comes to those purchasing intent. But it also comes down to those performance objectives. So like the type of products that we have, they actually help you deliver on those performance objectives as well, that are connected down the funnel, right? So let's talk about them briefly. So exactly why those are important, because more and more businesses, they are switching online, they're appearing online. When it comes to the mobile performance, we are seeing that there has been 71.5 billion app installs globally in the first half of 2020, right? So this is huge reach where you can kind of like, leverage and you can promote your system via the web experience or via the mobile app experience. And one of the successful formats that are performing really well is the carousel format on Twitter, which is engaging narrative that helps you explain your message, helps you deliver performance towards your website or the mobile app. And highly recommend you to read a bit more about the carousel ads. It's very new. It was released like a couple of weeks ago into the global availability. So basically, those redesigned ads, they give you this, edge-to-edge design with those speaking views of the image and video, encouraging the swiping, so the users, they can learn more about your product, about your service. And it fits really well with this organic message that I wanted to bring to you earlier. Like Twitter is like what's happening. So those carousel ads, they can actually drive like lots of performance and give the users answers on this question. So overall, like, we see that those ads are performing really well. There are other ways, how you can drive performance on Twitter. Feel free to reach out to me or to our partners at HDPool who are at this conference as well, to learn more how to drive those downstream performance campaigns on Twitter and how to stay engaged, right? So overall, I think Twitter is really, what's happening. Twitter can help you launch new things. Twitter can help you to connect to relevant opportunities, which later on you can convert through those performance type of campaigns, performance formats that we have available, like the carousel ads. So be the part of what's happening. Reach out to us if you have more questions. It was a pleasure speaking at this event, and I wish you good luck and all the best. Thank you.